Hello and welcome to part 3 of Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, and we are still playing this level. This is actually a very simple part. We just have to grab Burning and go through the spikes, or you can take advantage of the invincibility frames and walk through like I did. If you choose not to do that though, the other ways, it's just longer. But if you use Burning, you just cut right through instead of having to go all the way around. I actually really like this stage. It's nothing in particular. It's just I like the background graphics. I like the maze design. It looks really nice. For the longest time, I thought it was like some secret code or to like a maze to get to a secret level. But no, it's just design. Decoration. I was a fool. I really like the little snorkel that they put on Kirby swimming sprite animation. It just looks very nice. Nice little detail. And here we are fighting Mr. TikTok again, but in a shade of blue. I guess you could say that you were out of time. Anywho. Here is the second second dark level, in which they do want you to use the move light in order to, light up the place to find that door. However, I know this level in and out, so I don't need it, thus truly making light completely useless. Now in this game, other than a few moves like UFO and all that, pretty much every move only has one move that uses the B button. So don't think you're gonna have a lot of variety. So you're gonna be kind of stuck with what you have. So, and what I mean by that is, stone only does one thing. So other than the, UFO, sword, and hammer, you really do just get that, and that's it. So, but in future games like Kirby Superstar and its remake, as well as like Kirby the Return to Dreamland, they add more moves so that when you do like a side, you gain you can do other attacks, which I think is pretty sweet. And here is our next boss, Kracko, who's making a return from Kirby's Dreamland. Now, interestingly enough, his boss battle is different. Instead of fighting him right off the bat, we have to climb to the top. So I would recommend you getting high jump. You can just fly, using Kirby's float ability, but it takes a long ass time. If you use the high jump, you get there really fast, and it's just a little more fun. I mean, you have to aim yourself on the platforms in order to get to the very top. Now that Kracko has gone into his, his final form, you just have to attack him. He can drop down Walladees or Walladees again, and if you grab the Walladees, you'll gain the beam ability, and you just attack him, or just do what I did and use the high jump and spam it and defeat him. But yeah, Kracko is actually not that hard in this game. He's actually pretty simple, but I really like Kracko. It's always nice to see Kracko. I like that. It's a nice animation. I also really like the song to Yogurt Yard. It's very cheerful and upbeat. It's really cool. Now if you go underneath this cloud, you'll see that little hole right there, and that is a door. And you should go there because there's good things when you go there. But just be careful of the cannons, because as you can tell, not only is there a 1-up, but there's a stone ability. Now they don't. Now this is the only place where you can get stone in this level, so make sure you use it. You really don't need to, but if you break down through a layer, you'll find a second layer, and yeah, don't kill yourself. But yeah, just if you go through that door, you find a switch. So pretty clever little secret, thinking that you wouldn't go through the second doorway. Now, the move that I just lost, Parasol, it's pretty cool. It acts as like a sword and all that, but when you jump, you actually can float down really slowly, which is really nice. And here's Ice, which turns Kirby in a nice shade of blue with crystals on his head, even though he loses it once he jumps through the goal ring. Ice is kind of like fire, except, you know, unlike fire which destroys, it freezes. So it turns things into cubes, and once they become the cubes, you can push them and destroy and kill other enemies. That's about it, but, you know, I like Ice. I like fire a little bit more, but I'd be a hypocrite to say fire is better, because they do the same exact thing. Technically, Ice has more use, because you can turn it into an ice cube, and send it through not just one, but like 2 or 3 enemies. And you can freeze projectiles falling from above, like those coconuts. But I didn't do that because yeah, that's why. I don't know why I did that. Probably got confused with what I was supposed to be doing. Now I do like how in future games, when Kirby gets ice, he does like a little like ice skating thing. I just think that's really cool, but you know, I mean, this is the game that really where all the abilities debut, so you can't really hold it, you know, you can't be too judgmental about that because, well, this is the first game to really say, hey, let's see how copy abilities work. And of course it worked extremely well. Once again, we gained Hammer. And you really need to hold on to this ability because I don't think right now, but I think really soon, you're gonna need it, and they don't give it to you, so you need to find some way to either have Hammer or like Stone or something in order to move on to the next area. So, my recommendation, don't lose it. Like I did, but don't lose it. Now, if you actually went a little below where I entered that door, there's actually a tomato, which will fill out your health. Not tomato. Oh yes, it is. I'm an idiot. It'll fill out your health, but you know, I had, you know, 4 negative health. Not really worth going to grab. Now, you're supposed to use a high jump here, but I don't. I don't actually, in all honesty, I don't think I need the hammer here, but I think at that point in time when I recorded this, I couldn't remember if I did or didn't need it. Because, I do own this game, but the problem is that the save file on my Game Boy Advance cartridge is kind of dead. I was younger, I accidentally left the Game Boy cartridge in my pants, and they got in the wash. The game still works, but the save file doesn't anymore. But I think that has nothing to do with the wash, I think it's just age. Which is why I would really like it if they re-release this on the 3DS, but that's just me. So, because of that, I just can't remember 100% what I need and didn't need, so... Yeah, so that one with the 1-up, you gotta, you know, quickly switch out, you know, get back to normal, or you will die. Now, I do like this little use of Parasol here, but this is one of the few instances, this is like one of the many, not few, I'm sorry. This is one of the instances where I really wish the levels were actually bigger, believe it or not, because the level's so small here that getting hit by spikes is too easy. Where, as in Kirby's Adventure, since the levels are much larger, you can still get hit, but you're able to float a lot. You have a lot more room to maneuver. So, you know, the pros and cons of level scaling. I just wish they didn't get rid of those nice animations, like, you know, Meta Knight and all that. It's just like, why? Why did you do this? Here is another gauntlet against Meta Knight. Now, something you may or may not know, but the Kirby franchise, in terms of main series, you know, the games that are platformers, tends to actually have 2 continuities, And what I mean by that is there's two universes which have completely different gameplay mechanics and different friends. So we have I guess the main continuity, which is, you know, made by the creator himself. I can't say his last name, but Sakurai, you know, the guy who made Super Smash Brothers. He made Kirby's Dreamland, Kirby's Adventure, and the remake, Kirby Superstar, and Kirby's Air Ride, which some partial development, like he kind of helped with Kirby's The Amazing Mirror, but just kind of. And then the second continuity, like I know Kirby's Air Ride doesn't count, but you know, it's the last game he technically really worked on. That was a Kirby game. And the other continuity is the ones which technically are Kirby's Dreamland 2 and 3, and Kirby 64. And the reason why is that if you actually go from like this game to Kirby's Dreamland 2, even though Kirby's Dreamland 2 implements the copy abilities, you'll notice that the gameplay itself is a lot slower. Same with Dreamland 3 and Kirby 64. So I was considering like separate series, and you know, because they just play completely different. One's fast, one's slow, and I would actually argue that, you know, Sakurai's series is far more, you know, vast and larger. And honestly, I don't know what you would call this universe. I call it the Sakurai universe, but I guess you can kind of drop that title because, you know, Kirby Superstar Ultra, as well as like, you know, Kirby's Mass Attack and Kirby's Return to Dreamland, they're not made by him, but you know, they go back to this style, which in my opinion is the preferred style. I just like this better. It's faster. But don't get me wrong, I love Kirby's Dreamland 3 and Kirby's Crystal Shard. I've actually never played Kirby's Dreamland 2, unfortunately. Still waiting for that to come out on the Virtual Console. Because, you know, when I do these commentaries, I like to own the games. Because I know I record it via emulator, because that's how you get the best quality, unless you have like the GameCube player, which I don't have. You know, I want to own the game first, because, you know, despite playing on the emulator, I actually like playing the games on the actual handhelds. They just feel nicer on the handhelds. Then, like, I do have a gamepad now to do these, but just, you know, there's just something about playing on the screen first. So, you know, whenever I get to whenever that gets released on the Virtual Console, I'll most likely do a commentary on Kirby's Dreamland 2 and, you know, give my thoughts on that. But I guess my point is that, you know, you may not know that, but Dreamland 2, Dreamland 3, and Kirby 64, which you can constitute as Kirby's Dreamland 4, and the other games are kind of different. They don't feel the same, and you know, 2, 3, and 4 follow continuity. I mean, they technically are a building story, a very cool story, and to be honest, because they are, despite it being darker, I mean, not darker, slower, I would argue that the atmosphere is a bit darker in the games, and yeah. The music in those games are phenomenal, so, you know, never, don't pass them up. I mean, they may not be as, in my opinion, they may not be as good as these, but I don't think there's ever such thing as a bad Kirby game. I think the worst Kirby game there would be is, you know, in terms of level, it's just mediocre. But, you know, the only game I honestly didn't really care for, to be honest, was Kirby's The Amazing Mirror. I'm not sure if I'll ever cover that game, but I think the big issue I had with Kirby's The Amazing Mirror is that while I really do like the idea of it, of making it like a Metroid game, I think the problem is that, one, it doesn't work for Kirby, and number two, the world itself is just too boring. And, you know, doing a lot of backtracking in that game, it became a chore. And I guess one of the reasons why I don't like it also is that I really hyped it up to myself. I'm like, this game's gonna be great, I'm gonna love it, and everything. And I just wound up not caring for it. Yes, you do need hammer here, which I forgot to do, so I went back and grabbed it. So make sure you have hammer in order to get through here, because There's no other way. You can't go do stone underwater. As you guys can tell, as as levels go on, it becomes a little more difficult. But yeah, Kirby's Amazing Mirror. I think I hyped it up to myself and made it too much for me. It's also like one of the first games to be made by a different company, Flagship. But many people also consider, you know, I'll get to that later. And finally, here is our next boss, who is called... Sorry. Heavy Mole. Heavy Mole is has an interesting design, and he acts as a mole by digging through the tunnel with his things. And he shoots out missiles from his butt, which gives you hammer, which is great, because not only does it make beating this boss really easy, but you too can destroy the dirt around you. So, I don't know why, but in Kirby's Adventure, this boss is really hard. I'm being serious. Like, I actually died to this boss in Kirby's Adventure, and I was really surprised. I'm like, holy crap. And I think it's because the levels are so large, and the boss himself is actually smaller, and so he moves a lot faster, so catching up to him takes a while. I like that. That's one thing I really wished a lot of Kirby games, including Smash Brothers games, would have, because the first Smash Brothers game had it. I really wish it'd bring back the exaggeration of the cartoony eyes when something bad happens. They got rid of those, especially in Kirby's Return to Dreamland, especially when Kirby gets burned, and it's such a waste. They should have it there. It adds such character, and it's really nice. Hammer to get the extra life, which I already got. Whoops. Shit. Get you all in part 4.